What's up everybody, Steven Z Killer here. It's time to bring you a new reaction video. But before that, 75% of you guys watching right now are not subscribed. This means two things. You're either brand new to the channel or returning. And I do hope that this video gets you to hit that subscribe button today. Last year, we didn't hit our goal of 400,000 subscribers by the end of 2024. We almost got there, and we were so close to 100,000 new subscribers in that year. But I still need more people to join and subscribe to get my channel to hit 1 million subscribers. This upcoming year, the new goal is 500,000 subscribers, and I need you to hit that subscribe button today so we can hit it this year. I know we can do it. What's up everybody, Steven Z Killer here with another reaction, and today we're checking some Hazbin Hotel goodness. Now, you guys have always loved Hazbin Hotel, and so have I. You guys show the support. Recently, we just got the announcement that Helluva Boss is coming to Prime, just like Hazbin Hotel, and now that there's an official possibility for Hazbin Hotel and Helluva Boss to do crossovers, and now we're patiently waiting for more info on season 2, and it has been confirmed that there's going to be season 3 and season 4 at a later point, and everyone's excited. That being said, with that news, there's probably plenty of new content people are going to now theorize and make based off of the upcoming hype, and this is what we're checking out today. We are checking out a Hazbin Hotel series called Infection AU. This has been sent to me a few times in the comments of videos. I haven't seen anything. This is a lore explain. People were saying that this was based off of like a comic or something like that in the comments of videos, and said it'd be really interesting for me to check out. And then I also noticed that this video itself has only been around for 5 days, and it's nearing 400,000 views. So why not check this out, see what this is all about when it comes to AUs, which is, I believe, alternate universes. Some can be really cool. Like recently I've been watching a lot of AU versions of like Undertale, since there's so many of them, especially Sans versus different versions of Sans, stuff like that. So if there's more out there like this you guys want me to check out and show a ton of support for these type of reactions, let me know down below. And I haven't seen this channel in a good bit myself. I think the last time I watched this channel was a Mario Madness lore explain video. So I think I know I enjoyed the last one I watched, and of course if there's more on this channel you want me to watch, let me know down below. And the link is for this video is down below in the description. Make sure to subscribe like I have, like the original video, do all that good stuff. And it looks like this is also going to have some Helluva Boss stuff in it too, which is good since they are now officially going to be able to crossover and stuff. And like I said, if there's more awesome animations, music videos, etc. out there you guys want me to react to, let me know down below in the comments or post or action ideas section. Let's get into this video and enjoy it right now.
You guys have been asking me to cover the Hazbin Hotel Infection AU called Necroorm, created by Adam's Plate of Pancakes for months now. And I've finally gotten around to watching this show.
Okay.
And first of all, most of you are way too young to be watching this show. When they said that this was an adult cartoon, I was thinking like Family Guy. But this is more along the lines of like Happy Tree Friends with a lot more sexual tension. Put down in the comment section if you actually watch this show, and let's get into it. Starting
to be 100%, I get where they're going with, and I can kind of see what he's referring to, because I've only seen a few clips way long ago when Happy Tree Friends really started to get popular, but I never sat down and watched the show, and I think I even had people suggest me Happy Tree Friends to react to, and I never sat down and do it. I don't even know, is it still an ongoing thing? Because I know it's like a ongoing, it was an ongoing show or whatnot for, I think it was YouTube, but then it got picked up at some point and got like on, I think it was even on Netflix's streaming services or something, because I remember seeing like maybe at some point it was on there, but I personally have never sat down and watched it. But I know I've seen some clips. It's pretty gory, and you know what? Thinking about the Helluva Boss and Hazbin Hotel combined, I can see where they're going with that. But I don't know everything about Happy Tree Friends. Do you guys agree with that statement? Is Happy Tree Friends and Helluva Boss / Hazbin Hotel at the same level of gore? Let me know down below.
With the stat sheet showing us who is clean versus who is infected. The first character that we see is Blitzo, who is asking where Luna is, and also hinting at the fact that something is going on in hell. We also see that he has a pistol, which should come in handy later. Next, we see Charlie, and honestly, I was happy to see that she wasn't infected. A lot of time with infection they use, the main character is one of the first people to be taken out. One thing that stands out about her is that she's asking where her father is. And considering that her father is Lucifer, I would like to think that he's probably okay. But if he did manage to get infected, that means that this virus is seriously strong because he's one of the more, if not the most powerful person in hell. Now, Luna is still alive, but it looks like she is in the first stage of the infection. By the looks of this wound here, it seems like somebody had bitten her on the leg. Beelzebub, on the other hand, is at the stage of the infection, and this is where we learn that this virus that is infecting people can...
Flesh-eating bacteria starts digesting parts of the patient, mostly starts with limbs. Holy shit! Yeah, her arms are all gone. It's coming out of her mouth. It's slowly eating away her lips, her ears, and it's starting to affect and consume one of her legs.
Consume their flesh, meaning that once you are infected, you'll basically be eaten alive.
Sanity is low, health is low, still has strength, but oof.
Kind of similar to the virus in the How to Train Your Dragon AU. Next, we see Alistair.
Okay.
Alistair is at the third stage of the infection.
Alistair's this fucked up? What the fuck? Yeah, he's missing a whole leg. It's also coming out of his stomach. His eyes are gone. One of his ears is fully gone. His mouth is fucking corroded looking. Mold spreads over the body. The parasite causes the patient's bones to break. Patient is in extreme pain. Oh my fucking god. It's insanity. He's got more health than Beelzebub. I cannot. You know what I'm trying to say. Strength, stress, hunger, thirst. Interesting that... Oh, okay.
And this is really scary because Alistair was crazy powerful. In the show, he basically showed up in hell and was so strong that he started slapping around ancient demons and broadcasting the beatdown as...
My question is, are they still conscious, or is this like an infection that takes over their willpower of their body and just takes them to infect others kind of situation, almost like a zombie virus?
Entertainment for the residents of hell. The fact that he has been taken over means that this infection is no joke. Now, at the moment, it looks like Husk is okay, although he is missing, but Moxie wasn't so lucky.
No, not Moxie! He's fucking dead! Death by final stage. What was he looking... We don't even get to see what he looked like at the final stage?
To reach the final form of the infection would end it with them dying, which is another thing that makes this infection unique. Usually, the infected characters just become like zombies, and then they go on...
Okay, they are like zombies.
To attack their friends, but in this AU, once you hit the final stage, you kick the bucket. Next we see...
Oh, so if you do hit the final stage, you don't even go out? Okay. Damn. Okay, alright.
Millie, and of course they're distressed considering that the love of their life is now gone, but they also make an interesting observation when they ask if the angels did this. And for my people that may not have watched the show, angels basically have this thing where they do a purge on the residents of hell periodically in order to make sure that the population doesn't get too high. So it wouldn't be crazy to think that they would come up with some kind of virus to make the job easier. Especially now when you consider that the demons have realized that they can actually fight back and take out the angels. Next we see Serpentis, and I'm happy that he's still clean because in the show he was actually able to turn his life around, although it seems like his...
I don't know about turning his life around. He kind of self-sacrificed himself and got turned into or transferred over to heaven.
Little egg boys were not so lucky, possibly being taken out by Alistair. Vox is still looking good.
Wait.
Clean because in the show he was actually able to turn his life around, although it seems like his little egg boys were not so lucky, possibly being taken out by Alistair.
You mean Adam? I already know people are leaving comments on this guy's video. You mean Adam? You mean Adam?
Vox is still looking good, although they have become traumatized after their encounter with Valentino, who was in the second stage of his infection. And
oh, fucking deserved, though. All right. Yeah, now, fuck that guy. Infected? Wait. Oh, shit.
looks like Valentino may be responsible
Vaggy's
for also
infected?
infecting Vaggy, who is one of my favorite characters. And it also looks like he infected Velvet, although I'm not nearly as sad about her. After all those
Yeah, she's kind of a bitch.
updates, we then get to see Stalis walking around Mammon's theater, and I was actually glad to see that this character was not infected, but rather just really confused about what the heck is going on. And since Fizz has been corrupted at this point, the two of them decide to team up together, and honestly, both of these characters are pretty powerful, so they should make a good team. After that, we swap over to Charlie and Blitzo, and we see that he is crying over Luna because the infection has finally taken over her body. And for the people that may be confused,
Oh, no. And I'm assuming there's just no cure. R.I.P. Luna.
as to why he's so sad is because Luna is basically like his adoptive daughter, so the two of them are very close. We also see that at this point Husk has been found, and more importantly, Alistair has progressed to the final stage of the infection. But what I find interesting here is that unlike some of the other characters that made it to the final stage,
A 5th stage? He surpassed death? The 4th stage? What is going on with his neck? What the fuck?
his body isn't giving out.
Hold up. What does this say? Patient normally dies when reaching stage reaching stage 5. Why is Eller still alive? Unknown reasons cause the worms to break your neck from the inside. Body is covered in mold and maggots. Ooh.
Interesting here is that unlike some of the other characters that made it to the final stage, his body isn't giving out, or at least not right away. And what I think this means is that really powerful characters can survive for longer even in the final stage of the infection, while the weaker characters will probably die off almost right away. And just a little tidbit here, when we look at Vox's sheet, we also learn that Alistair was the first person to be infected, meaning that he is probably responsible for how this infection has spread.
Oh no, Alistair infected. No!
In hell. Now, after that, we cut over to Husk, and even though Charlie said that he should stick with the group, he decides to go out and find Angel Dust, which makes sense considering how the two of them bonded in the show and are likely going to become a couple in the next season. Or at least I think they will. Now, as Husk sets
A lot of people do.
off walking through the woods, he sees a tower out in the distance and also stumbles upon Angel's phone, pretty much confirming that Angel is likely hiding inside that building. But when he opens the door, he sees this.
Oh, fuck.
Angel is deep in the infection at this point, and he immediately lashes out, knocking Husk out the window. Now, as he's falling, he starts to have flashbacks of his time with Angel, and some people thought that this is because Husk was about to die, and I think that would have been the case if Mammon wouldn't actually come through with this clutch catch. And even though I know that he can fly, I think maybe he was in shock from being hit, by this person that he really loves, and that may have been the reason that he didn't just, fly away. Now, it seems like Husk passed out for a bit, so Mammon had to carry him until they found this cave out in the woods. And as they get a closer look, they see bright yellow eyes glowing in the darkness, only to find out that it was Adam holding up in there. And this is kind of
What
a
the
big deal
fuck?
because Adam was a real menace in the show. He's very powerful, and I say this because he went toe-to-toe not only with Alistair, but also with Charlie. He was also one of the angels that was very gun-ho when it comes to the idea of taking out demons in the purge, so I wouldn't have been surprised if he was the one behind this virus, but that seems to be very unlikely now. But with that being said, you can probably understand why Stalis and Matt, but that seems to be
Oh, ripped off wings. I saw this and I was like, wait, what is that?
very unlikely now. But with that being said, you can probably understand why Stalis and Mammon didn't trust him immediately. But the most important thing we see in this scene is the fact that Husk may be infected, which makes sense considering that he was attacked by Angel. We also get to see that Adam is injured as well.
Okay, so anything sliced or cut by the tentacles.
Looking like he's missing a wing, and this will be important in a moment. Now, in the next scene, we see that they're all in the cave now, and we learn that the reason Adam is in hell is because he was planning to spy on Lucifer, only to find that his home was empty and looked like it had been ransacked, which may mean that the infected found their way to Lucifer's home, and that may be the reason why he's missing. And while Adam is looking at a book that Lucifer had in his home, we get even more confirmation when we see Alistair get him with a sneak attack, taking a chunk out of his wing. And while Adam was able to escape and find his way to this cave to hide,
honestly deserved to be infected, let's be honest.
After a few hours, he noticed that black spots started to appear on his wings, and he knew that if he didn't do something fast, he would end up just like Alistair. So he grabbed his knife and decided to take off his own wings, which sucks for several reasons. Obviously, he's an angel, so wings are kind of a big deal just for that purpose alone, but it's also the way that he can get back to heaven easily. But overall, I think he obviously made the right call here. And we see that his knowledge saves Husk as well, because we see that the wound on his hand where Angel attacked him is starting to fester, which means that he will also have to remove that hand, which I think sucks more.
He's also got kind of a cut on his cheek, and I don't know if it's even worth taking off the hand right at this point.
Losing a wing, but at least he'll avoid being infected. In the next part, we get a closer look at the book that Adam found while in Lucifer's home, and it gives us a lot of information about this virus, which is called the Necroorm disease. And I'll read most of this because if you guys are anything like my students, you probably can't read or write cursive, but I might be wrong here. Put down in the comments if you guys can actually still read and write cursive. Now, the first thing that we see is that the Necroorm disease is a sickness caused by a parasite, and they're basically these long black worms. And once the worms get into your body, they cause you to go insane, basically losing the ability to tell friend from foe and just attacking anyone that you see. We also get confirmation that people that are really strong die just like the weak people when they get to the final stage of the infection. Their body just continues to move a bit longer because of the power that they've accumulated in their life. We also learn the different ways that the parasites...
Oh, so Alistair's body's still moving, but Alistair might be gone.
...spread to people. And the most common ways is by eating or breathing in the tiny eggs that the worms lay. And of course, as we've seen with both Adam and Husk, if the infected actually touches you, that will also spread the virus as well.
Now, I guess maybe Husk didn't really get cut on the face. He might have cut himself with his claws when he tried to protect himself from angel dust. Maybe that's where the cut came from.
Stage 1 of the virus is pretty tame because it just involves like a stomach ache, nosebleed, while stage 2 is when the person actually starts to lose their memory, their eyesight, and they start to eat other people, or demons in this case. The third stage is where the body starts to rot away, bones start breaking, and they become super aggressive. By the fourth stage, they are completely crazy, and while they can no longer see, they have extremely good hearing, making them similar to clickers in The Last of Us. But the good news is that since their body is so damaged, they can't move very fast. And of course, the final stage is where the demon either dies immediately or their body is dragged around for a bit longer and used as a meat puppet for the worms. Lucifer also gives some advice on how to avoid the infection, which includes wearing a mask, keeping weapons on you, cutting off any infected limb, and of course just hiding from the infected demons. But unfortunately, the page that had information about the cure has been blurred out by blood, which may be another hint on what happened to Lucifer. Now, after that, we see that everyone is sleeping except for Stolas, who went out for a walk because he couldn't sleep. And while outside, he runs into Beelzebub in her infected form, and she lets out a crazy scream. And this scream is so loud that it wakes up everyone in the cave, and they are all forced to run away, not wanting to confront the infected because they are afraid of actually losing another limb if they get touched. Next, we cut back over to Vox, who is still in the house with Charlie, Blix, and Willie, but then they hear this weird noise coming from Millie's room. And then we see this.
Oh, fuck! Luna killed Millie. I don't even know if, Millie's not even going to be infected. I think she's actually fucking dead. Her whole leg is missing. The neck has been ripped out, or it looks like even an eyeball has been ripped out.
And since this group is also afraid of fighting infected head on, they run away as well. And sadly, we see that Blitzo is now the last living imp member, and it probably hurt even more considering that Luna was the one to take out Millie. After walking for a bit, Charlie and her crew decide to take a break, but they don't actually leave anybody on watch, which is
I would hate to say this, but if people make it to the second stage, you just take them out. Like, maybe stage 1's not a big deal, but once they start losing their limbs, their eyesight, stuff like that, it's probably best to not even let them get close to the third stage. Like, once they hit stage 2, you just gotta say goodbye.
Rookie mistake. So they are all awoken later by the sound of Serpentis being attacked by Vaggie. And since Charlie is still in...
Oh, we haven't even seen Vaggie yet. We knew she was infected. Oh, Jesus.
love with Vaggie, she tries to speak with her, which ends with Vaggie trying to attack her as well. But luckily, Vox jumps in front of her and takes the hit. And even though they lose like half their face, since they are like a TV devil, I don't think the virus will actually work on them. Now, after all that, we cut back over to Adam, and it looks like he's making a phone call to Heaven, or more specifically to Galen. And when we cut over to Heaven, we get some interesting insights. The first being that Galen does not care about Adam at all. And the second thing is that apparently Heaven has subjects. And now, based on the way it sounds and just the way it's set up, I think that they are experimenting on either demons or angels in this building. And when we get to see inside of the building, we see that both angels and demons seem to be locked in these cages, and they're all infected.
Oh, that's loot, isn't it?
Which lead me to believe
Yep, that's definitely her.
that the angels have actually created this infection. And out of all the characters that are locked up here, I
What?
think the most important is going to be Lucifer. And judging by his chart information, it looks like they captured him because he was getting close to finding a cure for their infection. It's
Wow, those angel whores.
also scary to think that someone as powerful as him can be infected. This shows us that almost nobody is probably safe in this AU outside of God. And speaking of God, we get to see him next. And I have to point out that I love his design. Usually when we see angels, they just look like, I mean, honestly, little white babies with wings. Welcome to heaven. Partner. But then when you get to like more abstract versions of angels, they look like nightmare fuel. And you can tell that this design is based on some of those angels. Now, when we look here, we can see that God is distressed, and he doesn't seem to know what is going on here in heaven. Specifically, he doesn't seem to know about the virus. But based on the stat sheet, we see that St. Peter and Sarah definitely know. And it seems like Sarah has been doing some killing, considering that her hands are drenched in blood. I also find it interesting that Galen has samples of the worms and the worm eggs, which is starting to paint the pictures that the angels are definitely responsible for releasing this virus down in hell. But I think to take the point further, I feel like it's now getting out of control and
Oh, I
popped
didn't even
down in
know.
hell. But I think that
Oh, no, that was just an Exorcist number 12, I guess, or 72. Okay.
take the point further, I feel like it's
But that is okay. So loot was in just a different cell.
now getting out of control and possibly even
Emily being killed or infected, like the entire bottom of her torso is gone. There's nothing under. She's got no legs. She doesn't even have both her wings.
threatening heaven. Now, back down in hell, since Adam wasn't able to get in touch with Gabe,
That's another thing. I'm sorry if you know that's what you're going to be turning into. You tell, okay, I'm infected. I'm gonna be coming in stage 1. If I get to stage 2, just fucking pull a bullet in my head. Come on. Honestly, at that point, you don't let people who have, like, I get it. Luna was like in stage 2. Blitz would have a hard time doing it, but it's better than what happened if they put Luna down. I hate to say that, but if they did, Millie would be alive.
they have decided that they need to find a way to get up to heaven, which is very difficult now because Adam can no longer fly, and if Husk goes up there alone, they're going to take him out on sight. The only chance they have is to use the golden stairs that pop up every 6 months to allow good souls to get into heaven. They just have to get to the staircase without getting attacked by any infected. Next, we get to see Molly, and I believe that she is Angel Dust's sister. And while I don't know a whole lot about her,
That's not confirmed, but people are really like saying that. I remember a lot of people saying that Angel Dust's sister like is a character, and her design, her original design is very similar to the character we saw in the show. So, but there's not been a confirmed, yes, that's Angel Dust's sister kind of situation, I think.
I know that she was never technically in hell, which means that she somehow ended up getting infected while up in heaven. And this is why Sarah has to take her out with the axe here. And even though it's obvious that this senseless murder is taking a toll on Sarah, it seems like both she and Gabriel believe that they are doing this for the greater good. And while this is going on, we see that God is starting to get curious, and he starts walking around looking for clues as to what's going on, and he finds Sarah covered in gore. And while it looks like the jig is up here, Galen then appears and tells God that this isn't blood he's looking at, but rather just jam. And somehow this actually...
Oh my god, God is stupid. Really? I'm sorry, there's a good difference between jam and blood.
works. After that, we see that Galen then begins to yell at God, telling him not to leave the castle again, and even going as far as to choke his neck, which is crazy if you really think about it. And then we see him put his hand around God's waist as if he has a thing for him, and then he makes this crazy face. Back down in
What the fuck?
hell, we see that Adam and his crew are getting closer to the golden staircase, but they run into two infected, and while it
Oh shit. Asmodeus? I don't care about Valentino. But no, Asmodeus!
looks like Adam is going to get attacked again, Mammon actually jumps in front of him and takes the blow, allowing them all to get away safely and find shelter at this house. But then we see that Mam actually didn't get away clean. It looks like his arm is infected and they are forced to chop it off. After that, we learn that the reason that Mam actually jumped in front of Adam is because he's in love with him. And just to be clear, I don't think this has anything to do with the canon of the show, but rather just something that the creator wanted to throw in. But now it kind of makes sense as to why these two were curled up together in the cave earlier. After that, we get to look at more of the stat sheets, and I think the most
Personality-wise, okay.
important thing to note here is that Alistair finally dies. And the reason I want to point this out is because we knew that more powerful demons can last longer even at the later stages of the infection, but they do die, and that is important because that means that worst case scenario, our survivors can hide out and wait for this outbreak to just pass over, unless there's
As long as no more gets infected, you wait it out. That is the possibility, but they need to find a shelter and security-wise.
something more nefarious going on here, aka unless the angels are going to keep like infecting people, which I think is what's going on here. Next, we see St. Peter speaking with Luke, saying that he's going to have to terminate her. And in all honesty, I think that this is for the best because she is way past saving at this point. But before he finishes her off,
She look. Oh no! What? Oh, I was about to say she looks like she's already at like almost past stage 3.
we see that Lucifer has reached a later stage of the infection and he looks terrifying. And if you are wondering what he says in the red here, he basically says it's Galen's fault. And then he starts to bash his head against the glass of his cell, slowly cracking it. But before he can break out, we see Galen pops up and uses his holy fire to burn him to a crisp. And the saddest part about this right here is that when Lucifer dies, God wakes up from having a nightmare of his children passing away. And while he thinks it's just a dream, we know that is actually true because remember, Lucifer is one of his sons. Now, back down in hell, we see Charlie and her group again, and even though Vox is trying to hide it, their injury is starting to take a toll on them, which makes sense considering that he's missing half his freaking head. Eventually, they get him to lay down while Blitz takes watch, and then we get this cute scene here where Blitz basically says that if you want to tell someone something but they're not around, you should tell it to the moon. Then he begins to speak to Stalis, basically apologizing for the trouble that he put him through and also revealing that he is in love with him, which makes sense considering that
I just realized something. Where's Stolz's daughter?
they were kind of getting busy in the show, we'll say. The best part about that scene, though, is that Stalis seems to actually hear the words before the scene cuts back over to him and his crew finding the golden stairs. Now, funny enough, right as the demons find the stairs to heaven, we see that God has also found the building that is holding all the infected characters. And even though he doesn't have the access code, since he's God, he just teleports right into the building. And this is where everything starts to get a bit hectic. We see that the demons have made it into heaven, and they see Galen heading over to the building to try to stop God from seeing what's inside. But he's not fast enough, and God sees that his son Lucifer is no longer alive, and the shock of that causes him to jump back and hit this button on the wall here that causes
Oh God, whoops, pun. God's about to get infected, isn't he?
Luke's cage to open up. And since he's grieving, he doesn't even hear her sneaking up on him, and he is bitten on the arm. And while I don't think that God is in any real danger here, Galen does show up and takes out Luke with his holy fire. And then he goes to this tirade about how he's disappointed in God for leaving the castle and how he's doing all this for him, which is weird for me because why is he talking to God like this in the first place? And also, why does he sound like he's in love with him?
Kind of gives me like overpowering like stalker vibes, you know what I mean?
And it seems like St. Peter feels the same way I do because soon after Galen finishes speaking, Peter slaps him against the head with a Bible. And then he demands that Galen tells him and God what is going on here. And right as this is happening, we see Adam and the crew appear. And it's a good thing that Adam was there because I feel like it could have gotten really ugly if the demons didn't have an angel to vouch for them. Now, Galen sees that he is clearly outnumbered, so he decided to go ahead and spill the beans. And his explanation made a lot of sense, especially for people who have watched the show. He basically says that after the demons figured out that they could take out the exterminators, he needed to come up with a plan to ensure that the angels didn't die while also still being able to purge the demon population. So he went and spoke with Michael, who seemed to be acting as like a scientist or something in his AU, and he gave Galen this jar full of worms. He told Galen that these worms could infect the demons and take them out with no angels having to risk their life in the process. So Galen took the worms and started experimenting with them, and at one point he even started testing them out on demons. And once he saw how
What? Millie's sister? Oh, fuck.
effective they were, he injected the worms into the animals down in hell, and since Alistair eats his meat raw, he
Oh, so that's why Alistair was the first infected.
was the first person to get infected with the worms and to start to spread the virus to the other demons. We also learn how Adam got stuck down in heaven. Apparently, even though he was told that the extermination was canceled, he was so hell-bent on slaughtering demons that he went down there anyway. Now, exterminators don't travel alone, so we know that he had a few other angels with him, and one of them ended up running into an infected and got sick. But since they didn't know what was going on, they flew back up to heaven, bringing the virus to the pearly gates. And this also explains why Sarah has been axing angels. She's basically been trying to keep heaven from having an outbreak like what's going on down in hell. All in all, this just means
Especially with Emily being infected and everything.
that his plan has backfired terribly, or so I thought, until we see Husk actually ask Adam why he went down to do the extermination. And it turns out that Adam was told by Michael that angels cannot be infected by the worms, which was obviously a lie. But this also shows us that the mastermind behind this is likely Michael, and he is manipulating all these angels to probably serve his own agenda. And it seems like God comes to the same conclusion, because then he immediately heads back to the castle so that he can confront his son, only to find that he's missing. Now, after finding the room empty, we see that God is starting to have pain where Luke bit him, but luckily, it seems like he's immune to the virus, so the worms just drop off of him. And then he uses his power to heal himself, but also the demons and Adam, even being able to grow back the limbs that they had to cut off because of the infection. And while at first I was a little bit surprised, when I really thought about it, he is a god, so growing back an arm and a wing is probably light work.
I got you, fam!
After that, the demons and Adam give God and his people some time to decide what they want to do next. And then we get this scene where Mam and Adam confess their love for each other. And I just find these two to be a funny pair, because Adam was like a bloodthirsty demon killer in the show, and Mam was like the embodiment of greed and capitalism. They just seem like the most unlikely couple, but you know, love is love, I guess. Now,
it's a strange one, but okay.
Back in the castle, God has figured out a way to stop the infection, but it isn't great. Basically, what they're going to do is use holy fire on the infected demons, which will definitely end their lives. So basically, the only way to save hell is to purge a ton of innocent demons, which I know is kind of an oxymoron. But if you watch the show, we have learned that some of the demons like Sir Penn and Angel have the potential to change and even make it into heaven. So in a way, the fact that some of these demons got infected has basically taken away their chance at redemption, which in a way is kind of sad. Now, while God and the demons are preparing to head down to hell, we cut back over to Charlie, who is still nursing a broken box, while Blitz
And she still doesn't even know about her dad being killed.
is trying to hold back two infected until he runs out of bullets. We then see
those two
box while Blitz is trying to hold back two infected.
These are two of the demon lords. I forget her, but he was definitely really important. He was friends with Alistair.
Until he runs out of bullets. We then see Vox's system shut down, and Blitz and Charlie are trapped in this cave, saying their goodbyes as the infected make their way closer and closer to them. But just when it seems like all is lost, we see holy fire engulf the demons. And while at first I thought that this was going to be God, we actually see Stalis, and he has some kind of device on his wrist that allows him to shoot holy flames out. And then we get this moment where we see him and Blitz embrace, with him saying that he was able to get his message from the moon, which is low-key cute as heck. After that, Stalis explains what's going on to Charlie, because up to this point, her team has kind of been out of the loop. And
Vaggie officially dead. Her dad's dead. There's a lot Charlie's going to have to deal with.
When she hears mention of her grandfather, aka God, she decides to take Vox.
I never even thought about that. That's so fucking true.
to him to see if he can actually still be healed. And again, since he is God, he's able to heal Vox no problem. It also seems like with the help of God and Galen, the demons are able to purge hell of all the infected. After that, we see everyone saying goodbye to the loved ones that they lost, Adam and Mam moving in together, and God building a memorial for his son, Lucifer. And while this is a cute little ending, I knew it was too good to be true.
One part of the story that still doesn't make sense, if Lucifer had gotten close to making a cure, why didn't he try to benefit from that? It made no sense, especially since angels could have been cured and saved from the same research. That was stupid on his part.
Most of the time, endings in these infection AUs are never this clean. And I'm proven right when we see Galen fly back to heaven and start to speak to this figure hiding in the shadows, which we see is Michael. And while it looks like Galen is trying to
Okay, so Michael's still in control of everything.
distance himself from Michael and their evil plan, my boy literally puts shackles around his neck and tells him that they still have a deal. We then see Michael pull out a love potion, and we learn that Galen wants to use this on God to make him fall in love with him, showcasing that this character is truly obsessed.
Yeah, I was right. He wants to be empowered and also kind of stalkerish for God. That's so fucking
Then get to see Michael's master plan, which is basically this new set of worms that have been fed his own flesh. And this has made it to where they are not only able to infect regular angels and demons, but even more powerful angels like Galen, Michael, and of course, God. And I think it's obvious to see that Michael wants to infect his father so that he's weak enough so that Michael can take over as the new ruler of heaven. And he's just using Galen in order to get to God. This guy is not
That's fucking stupid, because then it can also affect you.
only evil, but he is absolutely crazy as a bedbug. Galen then asks what is going to be done about the demons in Adam, especially now that Adam is living in hell and is in love with Mammon. We then see Michael make a call to his brother, basically calling it a favor and telling him that he has to take out Charlie and the other demons. And then we see this character here grab a scythe off the wall. Now, after a few days have passed, we learn that the demons are starting to heal and life is getting back to normal, or at least it seemed like that, until Husk goes to the cemetery to visit Angel's grave and he sees a winged figure in the sky. And before he can make out who or what it really is, the figure starts to rain down holy light, slicing off a piece of his ear. But since Husk can fly, he's able to actually escape without taking too much damage. And he goes back to the hotel to warn people about what's going on. And for my people that may be wondering why Charlie looks so tired here, it's because she's taken on the duties of Lucifer, aka her late father. So she's basically the ruler of hell now.
And not to mention the stress of finding out that her dad's dead and Vaggy's dead. She's on her own. She's putting probably a ton more on her shoulders than she needs to. And then also taking the role of leader of hell.
And struggling with the new responsibilities. Now, this dark angel must have been on Husk's cheeks because right after he makes it back to the hotel, the angel bursts through the wall. And since Charlie is more of a peaceful character, she tries to speak to the angel, even offering to let him stay at the hotel so that he can learn to respect people. And then she is immediately stabbed in the stomach. This dude is not here to make friends or to see the light or anything like that. Now, after seeing Charlie get hurt, Vox jumps in because he's always about that action. But this angel is so powerful that he's able to block Vox's attack easily, and then he gives him the One Piece special. But seeing her friends getting hurt, Charlie finally decides to turn into her more devilish form. And while I thought she was going to actually put up a good fight here, this guy dominates her pretty easily. Which means that he is likely...
Like, she's got a lot of power. Let's be honest. Charlie is not a fighter. Charlie will, over time, probably develop more and more strength. But she doesn't really have the skills, I think, as a fighter. Really? I don't think so. But, yeah.
Way stronger than Adam, who also fought and outmatched Charlie. But at least she actually put up kind of a fight against him. And seeing that she's outmatched, Charlie gathers her friends and teleports out of the hotel. When they reappear, they end up at the Goon Saloon, and they're trying to figure out why this angel is attacking them. And while they can't say for sure, they know that if they're being targeted, Adam and Mam are also likely on the list as well. And then we cut over to them, and they seem to just be living a nice, normal life together. But then their peace is broken by the angel attacking them. And since Adam isn't one to duck a fight, he goes out to confront this guy, and then we see this.
It'd been smart for them to fight together.
Adam is not
against
even
this.
able to land a real punch on this guy, and the only reason that he wasn't completely blown away is because of Man. And once Man figures out that this guy really means to do them harm, he goes on the offensive. And while it may be hard to say just how powerful Mammon is, he is one of the 7 deadly sins.
Like,
Specifically,
Adam and Mammon working together should definitely be able to put up a fight, but I'm assuming this guy's going to be able to overpower them and possibly even kill them both.
greed, meaning that he is definitely one of the strongest people in this AU right now. And we see this by the way that he's actually able to grab and throw this angel around a bit, but it becomes obvious that he is still not strong enough to 1v1 this guy. I think if given enough time, the angel would definitely slowly whittle him down. But luckily, before he can take too much damage, Charlie comes through with a shield and also teleports the angel away, giving her and her team a short break. After that, we cut back over to Michael, and we see that he is moving forward with his plan to infect his father with the worms, giving the vial to Galen. And his plan is to add the worm's eggs into God's food, as we see here.
This guy's fucking stupid. If he's in love with God and wants God to love him, why are you infecting God with the worms that's going to fucking kill him? So dumb. So fucking dumb.
Here. And just as a side note, this is definitely not a meal fit for a god. I also found it kind of sad that God never questioned the food that he was given. He completely trusts his friend, never suspecting that he's been set up. Next, we see that Michael is watching all this happen, but more importantly, we see Baxter come into frame and reveal that all this time, Michael has had like his own little private test subject of angels. And he's basically turning them into zombie soldiers so that they can guard the gates of heaven. And I think his ultimate plan is to keep anybody from coming into heaven and also to keep any angels from leaving it. Now, while all this is happening, we see that Charlie and her crew have made it to Stalos' castle, and they're explaining what's going on with this new threat, aka the Dark Angel. And ultimately, they decide they need to make another trip to heaven and speak with God to see why they're being hunted. So the group gears up, grabbing food, meds, and weapons because they are expecting a fight for sure. Now back in heaven, we see that God has fallen ill, but more importantly, we learn that he has the ability to heal himself, but he's not going to do that because if he would use that energy to heal himself, basically heaven and the universe as a whole would be weakened for a while. So he's basically willing to allow himself to suffer and heal naturally in order to make sure that the universe remains safe. And while that is very chivalrous and probably why he is God, I think it will end up leading to his downfall. Now back in hell, we see that Charlie
Underestimating
and
the
others have made their way
infection.
to Molly's parents' farm so that they will have a safe place to rest for the night. And while everyone is sleeping, we see our angel friend makes another appearance. And soon after that, Husk starts to smell smoke outside. And can we take a moment to appreciate how Husk is always the first person to kind of realize something is wrong? If he wasn't in this AU, or if he would have gotten taken out early on by Angel, this story would be completely different. Put Husk as the MVP down in the comments if you're still watching. Now, after being waken up by Husk, Charlie and the crew go downstairs and they see that the house is on fire, so they run outside. And now Molly's parents have to watch their family home being burned down after losing their child as well. And if all that wasn't bad enough, some infected start to make their way out of the forest, and this
Cherry Bomb. Oh, Vanessa and Striker. What the fuck?
is a big deal because as far as the demons
Veronica, not Vanessa. Sorry, Veronica.
know, all the infected were burned away days ago. And while Charlie and her crew decide to run, Molly's parents decide to stay and fight off the infected, not wanting to leave their land. After that scene, we get to take another look at God, and he is looking absolutely terrible now. And it seems like as he gets worse, heaven begins to suffer more and more.
If he doesn't self-heal himself, he's going to be too weak to do it later. He needed to do it sooner than later.
We see examples of this when the holy eyes turn gray, the roses from the garden start to lose their color, and the holy guards fall dormant. And seeing all this, Michael decides that this is his chance to strike. And he appears in his father's room to confront him, revealing his plan. And now that God is weakened and all his guards and spells of protection are gone, Michael is free to take over heaven, since he seems to be the second strongest person here now. Because we have to remember that the only brother that was even close to him in power was Lucifer, and now it kind of makes sense why that was the first brother that ended up being corrupted. Now, even though God tries to stand up and fight his son, the infection has made him so weak that he just slumps back to the floor. And then we see Michael take the cross from God, essentially taking the power of the heavens and using it for himself. And we get to see just how powerful he is when Sarah walks into the room and tries to fight him. He is easily able to overpower her and then revive the Holy Guard, programming them to now fight for him and locking up all the other angels that may try to resist his new title. And based on this image right here, we know that this guy is about to be a absolute menace. He gives light Yagami vibes from our people who know Death Note.
Oh, okay.
After that, we see Galen walk into the dorm room to confront Michael because this definitely wasn't a part of the plan that they discussed. And just as I thought,
bitch, you put the infection things on his food.
Michael betrays him, breaking a love potion, giving Galen a punch to the face, and then choking him and locking him up with the other angels. We then see Leroy in the background looking afraid and confused. And even though he feels some comfort when Michael hugs him, this face right here should let him know that his brother has gone off the deep end. And in the very next scene, this is proven to be true when Michael starts to choke his brother and rip off his wings, which seems so unnecessary. Leroy obviously trusted his brother, and I feel like if Michael wasn't so cartoonishly evil, he could have used that to his advantage. But luckily for Leroy, Gabriel comes to the rescue and is able to get him free, although I doubt that Gabe is actually going to be able to put up much of a fight against Michael in this current form. Now, back with Charlie and the other demons, we see that they have made their way to Satan's castle, and just like with Mammon, this guy is also one of the sins, specifically the sin of wrath, and he's also the stand-in ruler of hell. Now, after Mam explains what's going on,
well, we know 2 of the sins are dead too. Yeah, I think there's only been 2. Asmodeus and Beelzebub are definitely gone.
That Satan decides to help the crew and get them back to heaven by flying them to the golden staircase and helping them avoid the infected. But the one thing that the demons didn't anticipate was that Michael was crazy enough to infect angels and post them at the staircase to stop them from getting in. And while the team does try to fight them off, there are way too many of them to actually take out, especially since their demonic abilities don't seem to be able to put the infected down. And right when it seems like they're about to be overrun, we see Gabriel appear in the sky, and he burns all the infected away with his holy fire. And then after a quick embrace with his niece, he explains what's happening in heaven and tells Charlie that he needs her help in order to stop Michael. And while this conversation is happening, we see the Dark Angel appear again, removing his mask and revealing that this is Azrael, another one of Charlie's uncles. And while we don't get to learn exactly why Azrael is supporting Michael, he does make it clear that he's willing to take out anyone who stands in his way.
So you were actually gonna okay, and wow, all right.
Even Gabriel. This triggers a fight scene between the brothers, and honestly, I thought that Gabe was gonna be cooked here. But not only did he hold his own, he was able to send his brother flying into a nearby lake, and then gather Charlie and her friends together so that he could teleport them back to heaven. The only person that doesn't go with them at this point is Satan, who volunteers to stay behind and fight Azrael to try to slow him down. Now, when the crew makes it back to heaven, they are immediately put into a battle, with Michael winning a 2v1 here easily. And while Blitz is distracted, he gets sucker punched, and we see that it's actually Ronaldo, who is another demon. He does a bunch of yapping, but all he's really saying is,
what the fuck is that guy doing around here? Wasn't that the fucker from the goddamn episode, the haunted hotel episode?
that Michael brought him back to life, so now he works for him. But the more
Okay.
more important fact here is that Ronaldo can control people's mind and body, and he's able to make Blitz attack his friends.
Fuck.
And while his gun may not have worked well against the infected, it definitely gets the job done with these other demons. And sadly, Stolas is forced to battle with him. On the other side of the battlefield, we see that Michael is still giving all these other angels crazy work, even stepping on this person's chest right here when he's down and like forcing his guts out of his mouth. And while Adam and Mam were holding their own for a bit, once Azrael enters the fight, it starts to look bad. But then surprisingly, we see St. Peter joins the fight, making it a bit more even, but also way more chaotic. Now back over with Blitz, we see that Stolas is able to knock him out of his mind control, and they have this cute little moment where they talk about how much they love each other and how they're going to take some time to themselves when this battle is over. But then we see Michael appear behind Stolas, and he pops his head like a water balloon, licking
Fuck!
his hand after like an absolute savage. And at this point, the tide has fully turned in Michael's favor. All the angels and demons have been captured, and now Michael has gone on his little villain monologue, basically saying as the firstborn son, he was meant to rule heaven instead of just being a foot soldier. And now he's going to shape heaven, earth, and hell in his own image. The only saving grace now is that Galen was able to break out of the dungeon and seems to have a plan to stop Michael. We see him flying over to the Church of the Eternal Dawn, and when he enters, we see him asking for help from a person named Mesquiel. And I'm gonna be honest here, I have no idea who this guy is. I assume he's supposed to be like a Jesus kind of figure, but it's really hard to say. I didn't see this guy in any of the episodes, or at least I don't remember. Put down in the comments if you know who he is.
There's a lot of characters here that don't show up in the show.
But I predict that in the final chapter, this guy's probably going to play a huge role in freeing God and helping them take control away from Michael. All in all, this AU is actually better than I was expecting. I know some people complained about the artwork, but I like the fact that the virus in this AU wasn't just random, but rather something that was created so that Michael could actually
A lot of big characters from both Helluva Boss and Hazbin are fucking dead and gone. This is an interesting AU.
Control. This AU had much more story and drama behind it. And I'm actually really excited to see how this whole thing wraps up. With that being said, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out this video on the screen.
Alright, well, if there is more in the future, a continuation, you guys want me to react to it, show the love on this video, and I'll definitely try to check it out whenever it does get released in the future. Very interesting, and of course, if there's other videos from this channel you wish for me to react to, let me know about them down below in the comments or post-reaction ideas section, and I'll see you guys next time. Hope you guys enjoyed this reaction. Stay tuned for more. Until then, later!
In the pixelated world of the gamers unite, there's a name that shines bright, bringing joy to the night. Steven's killer, he's the king of the screen. With his epic playthroughs, he ranks as a name. Laughing out loud as we watch him explore. From horror to laughter, we can't help but want more. With a heart full of passion, he shares his delight. Steven's killer, take us on another.